Color constitutes a large part of our lives. The decisions we make, whether simple like buying a shirt or complex like buying a house, often take the factor of color into consideration. In the theory of knowledge circle, we see that sense perception is one of the ways of knowing. Sense perception, as we all know, greatly affects how we view the world. Sight, one of the 5 components of sense perception, is greatly influenced by color. According to the Seoul International Color Expo researchers, 84.7% of people involved in the research study agreed that color was a considerable factor when making decisions about both preferences and purchasing different commodities. The significant effect color has on many of us may be the reason why all of us, when young, are asked the question, "What is your favorite color?" All children are asked that same question, and the question is often used as a way to get to know one another. According to Scholastic Inc., children pick a favorite color to be able to specialize themselves. Children want to be able to say that they have opinions and that they have an individualized way of thinking. The preference of color, therefore, serves as a social function. But how exactly do we end up preferring some colors over others? What leads to the preference of the colors? In this video, we will be discussing the various theories proposed and studies that show the different factors contributing to color preference. Color itself is translated from light by the human eye and brain. The difference in color arises from the different wavelengths of light. Wavelengths of visible light range from 400 nanometers to 700 nanometers. Nancy J. Stone and Anthony J. English found that the different wavelengths of color attribute to color preference. They conducted a study on how visual colors in an office or workspace affect workers' performance. Stone and English collected 112 people and placed them in either a light blue or dark red room and observed their working habits. The results of the study showed that different wavelengths appeal more or less to people and influence emotions. The study showed that longer wavelengths, like red and yellow, were more exciting and arousing for the participants, whereas the colors with shorter wavelengths, such as blue and green, provided for a calmer and more pleasurable experience. Because colors like red and orange have longer wavelengths, they arrive to our eyes at a more direct angle and at a greater rate. This is why the colors with longer wavelengths are more arousing, whereas colors with shorter wavelengths are seen as more calm. Another theory for color preference is the influence of gender. Males and females tend to have different opinions on a lot of various things, but one of the biggest sources of disparity in opinions is choice and style. The styles of men and women vary in all aspects, color included. Studies have shown that preferences in color are greatly influenced by your gender. From a very young age, boys tend to prefer different colors than girls. While at the age of about 2.5, girls have a significant preference for the color pink, whereas young boys at age 2.5 display a strong avoidance for the color pink. This, however, is not due to biological differences in the sexes, but is due to the cultural acceptance of pink being for girls while blue is for boys. Joe Paoletti, a University of Maryland historian, says, "There was no gender color symbolism that held true everywhere. The pink for girls and blue for boys idea set in the second half of the 20th century, and even in the early 1900s, all of the accessories for baby boys were pink, while the accessories for baby girls were blue." According to an issue of the Infants Department in 1918, there has been a great diversity of opinion on this subject, but the generally accepted rule is pink for the boy and blue for the girl. The reason is that pink, being a more decided and stronger color, is more suitable for the boy, while blue, which is more delicate and dainty, is prettier for the girl. Now that this has changed to the opposite way, children have adapted to the idea that pink is for girls and blue is for boys. So they begin to prefer the respective colors.
Nicholas Humphrey, a theoretical psychologist based in Cambridge, who is known for his work on the evolution of human intelligence and consciousness, proposed that color preference arises from evolutionary reasons. Humphrey posed that in nature, colors are often used to signal messages of attraction, such as the color of a flower serving to attract a pollinating insect, or repulsion, such as the color of a stinging insect serving to deter a potential predator. While the message is sometimes more complex, as when color is used for communication in a social context in courtship or aggressive encounters, signal colors commonly have three functions. They catch attention, they transmit information, and they directly affect the emotions of the viewer. Then, Homo sapiens marked a turning point in the use of color. Humans started to apply color in places that it did not grow. Today, almost every object that rolls off of the factory production line, from motor cars to pencils, is given a distinctive color, and for the most part, these colors are meaningless. But even so, Humphrey proposes that humans' response to these colors continue to show traces of their evolutionary heritage. So people persist in seeking meaning from color even where no meaning is intended. They find color attention-catching, they expect color to carry information, and to some extent at least they tend to be emotionally aroused. Therefore, even though the color of many modern artifacts are almost completely arbitrary, such as the color of a shirt or a car, and thus do not have significant signal value, deeply ingrained natural color signals, like the redness of a blushing face, may be strong enough to influence color preferences. Hurlburt and Lang, on the other hand, reported findings that they interpreted as support for behavioral adaptations. They suggested that color preferences arose from evolutionary selection. Their hypothesis is that color vision system adapted to improve performance on evolutionarily important behavioral tasks, such as females finding ripe red fruits and berries against green leaves, and that such genetic tuning to optimize such behaviorally significant discriminations resulted in preferences for the colors of those objects against the colors of their backgrounds. Different from past studies of evolutionary and behavioral adaptations, Lee Chen-U, M. Royner-Liu, Andrew Woodcock, and Angela Wright proposed an account based on color emotions, which they defined as feelings evoked by either colors or color combinations. Color emotions can be linked causally to color preferences if colors are preferred to the extent that viewing them produces positive emotions in the observer. They found that 60% of the variance in their color preference data could be predicted from three-factor analytic dimensions derived from color emotion data: active or passive, in which active is preferred, heavy or light, in which light is preferred, and warm or cool, in which cool is preferred. Stephen E. Palmer and Karen B. Skalson came up with the ecological valence theory that somewhat merged all the past three theories together. The ecological valence theory is grounded on the premise that human color preferences are fundamentally adaptive. People are more likely to survive and reproduce successfully if they are attracted to objects whose colors look good to them and avoid objects whose colors look bad to them. This ecological heuristic will in fact be adaptive, provided that how good or bad colors look reflects the degree to which objects that characteristically have those colors are advantageous or disadvantageous to the organism's survival, reproductive success, and general well-being. The environmental feedback required for a learning-based heuristic to work for color preferences is provided by the emotional outcome of color-relevant experiences during a person's lifetime. The more enjoyment and positive effect an individual receives from experiences with objects of a given color, the more the person will tend to like that color.